Hey y'all, it's your girl Success, and I wanted you guys to see this view. I was just driving by. It's called Lucas Valley. I'm on my way to see the horses, and I had a word this morning when I woke up. For those of you who know, I mentioned in my last video that I'm not really a morning person, and part of my routine in waking up and becoming a sociable success for my day is I lay in the bed once I open my eyes, and I try to assess, where my mind is at. I try to assess where my spirit is at. I try to assess, whatever pains I may be feeling in the moment. And, I just try to start my day aware of myself, I should say, aware of self, and I start talking to the Lord before I even get out the bed, guys. For me, that's a habit. I think it's a really good habit to have, because once you get out that bed, you don't know, depending on who you have in your house, you don't know. Maybe you live alone, maybe you don't, maybe you go to work, whatever the case may be. For me, it just prepares me to start my day. So this morning, as I was laying there talking to the Lord, the first thought that came to my mind was, my life matters. I was reminded that my life matters. And so I got the t-shirt on to remind me, y'all. Yeah, my life matters, and that's important to me, because there was a time when, the enemy was just working me. He was working me nonstop. It seemed relentless. And it was a time in my life where I got really, really low. Really low. It's the lowest I've ever been. And it was a place where the enemy was telling me, you can just walk out in front of a moving train, or just go play in some traffic. So it was serious. And one day the Lord just said to me, when the enemy was talking to me and telling me to walk out in front of a moving train, the Lord just spoke to me. He says, I've called you to live and not die, and to declare my works. And that jolted me back to reality in that moment. And it set a fire under me to get out from where I was, to fight, and not to continue to succumb to the warfare that I was dealing with in the house. It was just a really low place for me, where I wasn't myself. I wasn't connected. I'm trying to think of that's the word I want to use. Yeah, I wasn't really connected to people the way I had been, and it wasn't a really good place to be. I was still going to church, I still had people that I could talk to, but when the warfare is in your household, it's tough. It is something that you live with. It's not something that you can go visit, and then you get away from it. It's constant, and it takes a toll on you. And yep, you're praying. You can still be praying. You can still be going to church. You can still be reading your word. Yes, I'm saying all of that to say that, yeah, I got to a place where I physically wasn't going to try to hurt myself, but the enemy was very relentless in constantly telling me to walk out in front of traffic. And so, even though that wasn't my heart's desire, even though that wasn't my focus, it was something that he would keep bringing to my mind. And so, like I said, that one day God just said to me, I called you to live and not die, and to declare my works. And so in thinking about that this morning and thinking about these videos that I put out or the posts that I might make sometimes, I'm reminded that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I am supposed to be talking about God. I am supposed to be reminding myself and others, about God, about his mighty works, about his faithfulness, about his love, about his patience and his mercy and his grace and his favor. And I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I will continue to declare his works. I will continue to declare his faithfulness. And I will continue to remind myself and others that our lives matter. Our lives matter, guys, because if it didn't, Jesus wouldn't have had a reason to come. So, maybe that's your situation. Maybe you're dealing with constant warfare in your household. Maybe you're dealing with constant warfare at your job. Maybe you're just dealing with constant warfare within yourself because you never dealt with your issues. You are worth it. You are worth it. Worth it to be in a better place. Worth it to turn all that over to God. Worth it to be long-suffering if that's what it takes until, God delivers you from it. You are worth every bit of pain and suffering that Jesus endured. But here's the thing. The Bible tells us that those of us who will follow Christ Jesus, that we're going to suffer as well. Absolutely. Absolutely. But there's a difference between suffering for Christ and suffering because you've put yourself in a position that you shouldn't be in. There's a difference. But even in that, you may be in a situation where you may have put yourself in. Even in that situation, God is still with you. And God has the power and ability to bring you through. And even in the midst of that, if that's your scenario where you've put yourself in that place, you got to trust God. You got to believe God. You got to believe that God is working everything out for your good. There's hope in that. There's hope in believing in God. There's hope in being confident in God. And there's hope in remembering what God is famous for in your life. I kind of like that line, remembering what God is famous for. So that's the word today, guys. And remember, I'm not an expert. I'm just speaking from experience and from the revelations that God gave me. All right, until next time.